To me then, Jen.
And over to you, Alistair.
Thank you, Jen. Good afternoon, everybody. As Jen's already introduced himself, my name's Alistair Kennedy. I'm a police officer at Humberside Police, and I work within cybercrime investigation team. What does that mean? Well, my job is about tracking down cyber criminals. Okay. Today with me, I've brought Emma Davies along, who is an ethical hacker. Now, Emma's going to tell you all about herself in a little bit. Do you want to say hello, Emma?
Hello, everybody.
I'm going to run through my presentation, then Emma's going to tell you about what she does for 10 minutes or so, which I think is a really exciting part. So you have to put through up with my boring part, then you get to listen to the really exciting stuff that Emma's going to talk about. So my role is about keeping you lot safe online, keeping everybody safe online, and I've been doing these meetings around the Force area now since lockdown happened, using Zoom and different platforms. Okay, so I have a PowerPoint presentation I'm going to run through with you. It contains some videos. I'm going to be as quick as I can. It's just a really basic overview of being a bit safe online. Okay, bit about me before we start. Police officer, 20 years service. I have worked the last 18 months in cybercrime. Before that, I was a missing person coordinator, looking for missing people within the force. Prior to that, I worked in the force control room. And when I worked in the force control room, I worked in there for 3 years, answering 999 calls and sending police officers to jobs. Prior to that, I was a response driver, driving from jobs on blue lights. And before that, I was a neighbourhood beat bobby, and I was the University of Hull liaison police officer for about 9 years. So I've done various different bits of policing. This is the most exciting area of policing I have ever worked in. And I think it's just the most exciting area of lots of things at the moment, if I'm honest. So that's my history. I've done lots of different things. I've seen lots of different things. But this is by far the most interesting that I've worked in so far. Okay, and I think I'll stay here because it's just excellent fun. And hopefully by the end of the presentation, you'll see that as well. So let's get on. Just bear with me. It's come up to the very end. Bear with me. That's I have too many windows open. That's the right one. We'll start again. Okay, so here we are. That's the opening slide. That's who I am. And we're here to talk about cyber aware, cyber safe. Quick video. Now, my job, I work for the government. I'm a funded police officer, so I'm not. My part of my wages are paid by Humberside Police, but the other half of it is paid by the government directly, and it's through an organisation called the National Cyber Security Centre. Okay, some of you have heard of GCHQ. Well, the National Cyber Security Centre is the public side of GCHQ. Okay, and it's called the National Protect Network, which is what I'm part of. And this is just a video to explain a bit of what National Cyber Security Centre is.
We have never been more connected than we are right now. These connections enhance the way we live and work and transform the quality of services we all rely on. Innovation allows governments to deliver world-class digital services used by millions of people every day. The internet has become crucial to our way of life, and we must protect it. Cyber attack is now a critical threat to our national security. The government has responded to this threat by doubling investment in cybersecurity, creating a world-class National Cyber Security Centre, leading the UK's defence against cyber attack. The National Cyber Security Centre drives collaboration with government, industry, and academia, also law enforcement, military, and wider society. Our vision is to make the UK the safest place in the world to live and do business online. Our dedicated teams provide the front line of defence against cyber attack for government networks, supporting critical industries such as energy and power, finance and banking, transport and distribution. When a serious cyber incident occurs, the National Cyber Security Centre acts as the government source of information and advice. We work with those affected to minimise the damage, help with recovery, and learn lessons, providing a government centre of expertise on cybersecurity and network defence. Knowledge gathered from incidents builds our understanding of the cybersecurity environment. We nurture and grow the UK's national cybersecurity capability, providing leadership on critical cyber issues and combining the best technical research of academia, industry, and government. The National Cyber Security Centre will drive collaboration to achieve a step change in national cybersecurity. Together, we will make the UK the safest place to live and work in cyberspace.
Okay, so that's a video from GCHQ or the NCSC. As it said, we've never been more connected than we have ever before. How true is that with lockdown? We're all at home, aren't we? We're all online. We're doing stuff online rather than in classrooms and halls. I know it's changed the way of working for an awful lot of people. We rely on the internet so much now. Lots of us will have Hive heating at home, Amazon Alexas, internet TVs, loads of different devices connected to the internet. Okay, that's the internet. Okay, it's all part of the same thing. Okay, it's cyber. Okay, cyber attacks now are a critical part of national infrastructure. A cyber attack can cause a lot of damage to national infrastructure, and that's why the government spent so much money in the NCSC and people like myself doing the role of trying to get protect and prevent messages out to you about keeping yourself safe online. So we all use the internet on a daily basis. Okay, we're using the internet now to do this presentation. Okay, what the internet we use is like an iceberg. We use 4% of the internet. The bit that we can see is what we call the user-friendly interface. It's approximately 4% of the internet. The bit under the water is all the stuff in the internet which enables that 4% of the internet to be user-friendly. So when you type into Google, it comes up with nice little search results, a nice little list. It's got nice colourful letters about it. All the data to run that and make that work is kept in what we call the deep web. Okay, and all the other websites, the data to make all the other websites user-friendly is kept in the deep web. Okay, it's places that you can't access unless you get through their websites, if that makes sense. It's not readily accessible. It's the surface web. It's only 4%. So how big is the internet? If you think about us all on the internet's massive. It reaches every country in the world has got the internet. Okay, it's, as it says, it's a world wide web. It is exactly that, the world wide web. It's like a big spider's web all over the globe. Okay, and if you understand how the internet works, the World Wide Web is a really good description of it. Okay, the way it kind of crosses over the globe, crosses over countries. I could be talking to you from any country in the world, and you wouldn't know. You would think I was sat here in Humberside area. I could be sat somewhere in Russia. I could be sat in any other country in the world, and you wouldn't notice the difference, thanks to the World Wide Web. Okay, so that's the structure of the internet. The other part of the internet we have, and we'll all have heard about it, is the dark web. Okay, and I'm hoping, normally if I come into an assembly and I'm talking to students, I normally ask for a show of hands of who's been on the dark web, and I normally don't get very many. So what is the dark web? It's something we call encrypted services. Okay, it's websites that are encrypted, and you can't access them unless you're using a specific type of browser. Okay, do you need to go on the dark web? No, you don't. The dark web was developed by the American Navy in the 1970s for communication purposes, so they could communicate over the internet so nobody could see their communications. Unfortunately, something that was created for a good use has been turned into something that's a bit dark, and the dark web gets a notorious name, or encrypted services as we call it, gets a notorious name. Okay, basically, to go on the dark web, you would need to install device software on your computer, right? What's on the dark web? All sorts of stuff that's not very nice, stuff that you don't need to know about. It does have some lawful uses though. So the BBC News have a dark web. We have World Service News, which transmits independent news around the globe. Some countries stop that happening. So in some countries, and there's one country in particular, North Korea, to get an independent news, you would have to use something like the dark web to be able to hear independent news, because that country controls its news outlets and will only let its population hear news from the government that the government wants the population to hear. Okay, so that's a good use for the dark net. There's also whistleblowing stuff around the world on the dark net. But other than that, you don't really need to know any more about it. Do we need to go into it in this country? No, not really. Not unless you intend to go into university and doing a degree in dark web. No, you don't need to go into it. It is a very dangerous place. Okay, it is full of viruses. It is full of illegal content. It's full of all sorts of nasty, nasty stuff. Okay, you don't need to be on there. All right. I'm sure if you're getting interest in the dark web and you're really keen to know more about the dark web, there is routes that you can find out about the dark web. But trust me, there's probably more police officers watching the dark web than there is watching any other part of the web. So that's not for the dark web. We're not going to talk about it anymore. So we talk about cyberspace. We used to fight wars with swords and spears, guns and swords, as time went on. Then we moved on to missiles and guns. And we now fight wars with computers. Okay, cyberspace has now been recognised as a domain. So we have the RAF to protect the skies. We have the Navy to protect the seas. We have the Army to protect the land. We now have a cyber force, and they come under the name of military intelligence. Okay, and they are constantly fighting back and forward, defending this country against cyber attacks. Okay, and to prove that in the news, if any of you watch news, beginning of this year, America killed an Iranian general by a drone strike. How did Iran respond? They cyber attacked American industry, costing billions of dollars. Okay, off the American economy. This goes on now. You remember last summer, Iran shot down an American drone, and it was all over the Iranian telly, parading that they shot down the drone. How did America respond? America cyber attacked Iran. They took out all the missile silo computers, destroyed them all by a cyber attack. So this goes on now. Okay, you need to be aware of that. Is this a different internet to what we use to listen to music? No, it's the same. It's the internet. Okay. The internet's getting busier. In 60 seconds, this is the Internet Minute of 2020, in 60 seconds, there has been 764 hours of Netflix watched. Now, if you're really good at your maths, you could work out how many people are watching Netflix for them to have watched 764,000 hours. That's a lot of people. If you look at the 2019 Internet Minute, you'll see how much the Internet's grown in a year. It's huge. So there's 0.4 million more snaps being created this year than there was last year. There's actually less being spent online. Facebook's gone up 0.3 of a million. As you can see, it's gone up. 0.9 of a million texts sent over the internet. It's growing. The internet's getting bigger. It's more part of life. In 2018, 17 million Britons were hit by cybercrime, by hackers. Okay, and it now accounts for more than 50% of all crime. That was in 2018. It's now 60% of all crime. That figure's gone up. Okay. Hackers stole 461 billion from internet users in 2018. 21 billion of that was from British internet users. Now, 21 billion is a lot of money. A lot of money. The worldwide illegal drug trade only made 270 billion. So hackers were making more money than the drug dealers, almost double. Okay, it's a lot of money they're making from internet crime. How do we stop them making that much money? We have an awareness. Okay, we need to be aware. One of the most common methods used to dupe somebody out of something is a phishing email. Okay, I would say that 80%, more than 80% of all cyber attacks involve a phishing email of a description. Okay, all the companies that I've gone to, all the schools that I've gone to, have all had phishing emails and somebody has clicked on them. What is a phishing email? Well, it's an email that might look like it's coming from somewhere you know, but doesn't look right. It'll have an attachment which you don't recognize, or it'll have a link to a web page that just doesn't look right. There'll just be something about it, it just doesn't look right. Now, clicking on that attachment or clicking on that link could install malware or spyware onto your device. Okay, now if somebody installs malware or spyware onto your device, they can activate your cameras, they can activate your microphone, they can activate your GPS without you knowing. If they have that software on your device, they can spy on you. Now, how many of you take your phones into the shower with you? How many of you got your phones on you when you're getting changed on an evening? Okay, how many of them take your phones with you to the toilet? Okay, I will say probably quite a lot of you. If you've got malware on your computer device and somebody's spying on you, they're seeing everything you're doing. Okay, you need to be aware of that. Okay, you're getting changed in your bedroom, you're not sure about security of your phone, stick it under a pillow. Nobody can use it. If it has got malware on it and it's spying on you, they can't see you. It's just a good safety tip. Way to stop that, don't click on links and emails. Don't click on attachments and emails unless you know where they're from. If it's an attachment, an email, it looks like it's come from school and it says, please click here to see your test results or something like that, and you're not expecting it. Pick up the phone and speak to the school or drop an email to the school saying, have you sent me this email before you do anything with it? Okay, speak to somebody and ask before you download it. Because once you've got it installed, sometimes it can be very, very difficult to remove them. So you've clicked on that link in the email and it's taken you to a website. This is a fake PayPal website. As you can see, it's got an I between the pay and the pal in the address bar. That is sometimes the only way to check whether a website's true or not, is you need to check the address bar. Okay, if it doesn't look right, close it down, go to a renowned search engine and use that to try and come back into a website that you know the address to. Okay, do not follow links. Okay, even if the link's got a little padlock on it, does that mean it's a safe website? No, it doesn't. It means it's a secure website. It doesn't mean it's safe. I'm a criminal. I buy that website. Okay, I can put that padlock on that website for about between £23 and £30 will cost me to put a padlock on the website. But I'm still a criminal. And everything you put into that website, I'm going to steal from you. Okay, so really important to check the address. The padlock is irrelevant unless you're sure you're on the right website. Then it means your stuff's encrypted. It means the details coming to and from that site is on an encrypted channel. Nobody else can see it other than the website owner that you're on and yourself. But as I say, if a website owner is a criminal, they're going to get your details anyway. Check the address bars. So you've got that phishing email. What do you do with it? Well, you send it to these reporting addresses. NCSC 2 months ago launched report@phishing.gov.uk and have taken down over 1,000 websites so far. Okay, they have a similar service set up for suspicious texts. If you get a text message claiming to be from TV licensing, HMRC, DVLA, or something similar, you can forward your text on to 7726 and the NCSC will investigate it. And if it turns out it's a phishing attempt or a smishing attempt in text, they will do something about it and take it offline. So we have phishing, we have smishing, which is text messages, SMS, phishing, smishing, and vishing, which is voice scams. So I would like to thank anybody here in this call today, if you get a phone call from anybody and they start to say, asking you for details. What's your name? Can you confirm your name for me? Can you confirm your home address for me? Can you confirm your date of birth for me? I would like to think none of you are going to talk to them, because there shouldn't be anybody phoning you asking you to confirm anything. Okay? Don't speak to them, just put the phone down. Okay? Most of you in this are under 18. There shouldn't be anybody speaking to you from an official capacity unless an adult's present. So just put the phone down on them and don't speak to them. Do not give them your name. Do not give them any details over there. These are most likely going to be scammers trying to get your details, because your details mean money. Okay? They don't care that you're under 18. They don't know. You're just a phone number to them. Okay? They just have a machine that dials numbers, and when they get an answer, you get put through, and they will try to do whatever they can to get a person at the end of the call to talk to them. Antivirus software or anti-cyber security software or internet security software are really good, but they need to be up to date, and you need to have the appropriate one for your device, whatever device it is. Okay, if you're going to have antivirus on them, you need to have them up to date. Now, internet security software, I keep calling them antiviruses, but antiviruses are a bit outdated. Internet security software will detect some phishing emails, and they will detect malware coming out of their phishing emails. Okay, if they are up to date and they are a decent bit of software. Okay, so if it's a 0-day attack, as just we call a brand new one, they might not spot it straight away until it starts acting. Then some of these antiviruses are intuitive. They will look for unusual behaviour in bits of software, then they'll stop them. But sometimes it can already done a little bit of damage by that point. Okay. Also, how many of us, when we get an update on these things, our mobile phones, do we call them, or are they mobile computers? How many of us postpone the updates? Now, Samsung recently have pushed out 3 updates in a week, because I've had to update my phone 3 times this week. How many of us postpone that and don't do it? Updates are really, really important. Okay, you must update your software on your devices. Your operating system software, you must, because what's happening is the company has found a weakness. Okay, and they're putting what they call a patch on it. If you don't update your software, that patch no patch means it's vulnerable. And people like Emma, if Emma was a black hat, people like Emma would come along and try and break into that device because you've not updated it. Okay, really important. Okay, whether it's on a computer, whether it's on your mobile computer, which is what these are. They're not mobile phones; they're mobile computers. It's important we update them, because the NHS 3 years ago had a massive hit. A third of the NHS in the UK went offline. Part of that was due to not updated software. Okay, so it's really, really important. Personal online safety. We all recognise social media, don't we? How many of us check our security settings on these on a regular basis? Okay, do we have them locked down to private? Do we have them so no strangers can look at them? Okay, these are a valuable source of information for any hackers, social engineers, police officers trying to see what's going on with you. Okay, or anybody else. Okay, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Pinterest, LinkedIn, TikTok, and Discord. You need to have these types of software logged down. There's thousands of different social media out there. Lock them down, make them private. It's really important, because if you leave them open, you're opening yourself up to all sorts of security risks, whether it be from a cyber hacker or whether it be from child grooming. Okay. You don't know who's on the internet and you don't know who's looking at it. All right. Quick video to show you the power of social media.
Oh, hi, can I help?
Hot chocolate.
What's the name?
Joelle.
What was the name?
Alex.
Alex. There you go, Johnny.
Cheers.
If you like our Facebook page, we give you a free hot drink and a free pastry.
We have a new like for Damien. We have a new like for Damien.
Hey, Carly, are you standing by?
Standing by. Hi there, can I help?
Yeah, I just liked your Facebook page.
Okay, I'll search Facebook now.
I'm searching Google.
I have a phone number.
I've got his email address.
Okay, Carly, are you ready?
For information on Damien.
Yep, I am.
Mother's maiden name is he banks with
Hey, Carly, this is the girl coming in now with the blue scarf.
What's the name? Nicholas.
Nicola. His date of birth, 7th of May. She lives at 38A.
Just be a couple of seconds.
2 children, 8, 4 and 6. Previous address. She's got the postcode.
Yep, got it.
Thank you.
Damien, age 26 and a fitness instructor.
How do you know that?
Brody, who goes to UCL. Martin, who went to South Thames College. Assistant psychologist at Great Ormond Street.
I don't really understand.
Oh, better.
You know I'm a Christian as well.
Oh, yeah, we know everything about you, Martin. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Anna from Russia.
So how scary is that? From liking a Facebook post, they were able to get how many kids people had, where they worked, where they lived, probably even bank details, all right? I say to people, you wouldn't leave your front door of your house open for a stranger to walk into your house and have a poke around in your stuff. Why would you leave your social media accounts open? Because we live our lives online now. It's the same thing. They can poke around in your house and your private stuff and you don't know about it. Lock down social media to private, okay? You don't want people in your social media accounts having a look at everything. If somebody wanted to do some hacking on you, for example, if I was going to do Emma's job and I wanted to be a black hat, or I'd be a green hat actually, but that's another story, and I'd be looking at people's social media. I'd be wanting to build something about you. I'd be wanting to know about you. So when I send you a phishing email, I want it to have some context to what's going on in your life, because you're more likely to click on it and install my malware if it means something to you. So if you've got a dog and you put loads of pictures of your dog on social media, I know you're a dog lover. And if it's a Springer Spaniel, I know you love Spaniels. So I'm going to do something around Springer Spaniels. That's how it works. So lock your social media down. Don't give them that inroad. Interesting slide now. VPNs. This is a VPN for public Wi-Fi. I'm just looking. I've got 3 lines across my screen. I'm just looking at them thinking, what are they? Anyway, we'll come back to that. VPNs, virtual private networks. Okay, so lots of us may use public Wi-Fi from time to time. Now, public Wi-Fi can be quite a dangerous place for us to be. Okay, I don't use Wi-Fi at all anymore, and I'm going to guess that Emma doesn't use Wi-Fi at all anymore either, because Wi-Fi, just by the nature of it, can be quite risky. Now, some of us. Some people don't have the luxury of having really high data plans on their phones, so have to use free Wi-Fi. That's fine as long as you know how to protect it. If you are going to use free Wi-Fi in places like McDonald's, Burger King, cinema, shopping centres, you should use what we call a virtual private network, which means anything on your device is encrypted. It puts it into an encrypted tunnel before it gets to the internet. That means that nobody else can eavesdrop onto that information, nobody else can be a man-in-the-middle attack, and potentially access your device. Because if I wanted to access your device, if I was targeting you for a test to hack you, and I followed you to Burger King, and I have a pineapple which is a hacking device, I could pretend to be Burger King's Wi-Fi. Your phone will connect to it, I'll connect to your phone, and I've got access to your phone then. I can start installing things on your phone, taking things off your phone, and doing all sorts without you even knowing it's happening. Okay, so if you're going to use public Wi-Fi, I suggest use a VPN. There's no need to use a VPN in your home for home Wi-Fi, because home Wi-Fi is normally quite secure. But if you're out using public Wi-Fi, I would recommend a VPN. Okay, now I'm not going to go into VPNs too much because it can get quite a debate, and we could spend hours here debating about VPNs. But that is the only time we should really use them. We shouldn't be using them for other things. Okay, move on. Quick video on VPN explained.
Let's be honest, we've all done it. We're all so busy and working from anywhere we can find decent Wi-Fi that we've all shared some really private data in a public place. Whether we're banking online or just talking to friends about something personal, our data's safe enough when we surf, right? Whenever we're online, any hacker wannabe who knows how to download an eavesdropping tool can watch what you're doing. Because here's what's happening. You send data from your computer to someone else's computer over a big pipe with everyone else's data running through it. Anyone who wants to peek in there and read your data totally can. And it's even easier when we're on public Wi-Fi. Listen, you want to go about your life online, but you don't want to be on everybody's radar. Well, what if you could hide your data just by pushing a button? What if you weren't you when you went online? What if you were just some rando? That's the idea behind With Everyone's Info. Some rando gives you your own private pipe inside the internet that nobody else can see into, and it scrambles all the data it sends through it, so you're double protected. That's called a VPN, and that's an awesome thing to use whenever you're online, especially on public Wi-Fi. Some rando even has geo-relocation services built in, so you can get around location-based content filters in your area. Think of it like super nerdy geek tech for the rest of us. High-tech protection at the click of a button. Your security and privacy are important. We should all be using some kind of VPN.
Okay, so quick video on VPNs. Now, as I said, VPNs have their uses. You have to be very careful. We, law enforcement, work with VPN companies now to try and make sure that people aren't using them for the wrong reasons. Okay, using a VPN in public Wi-Fi is legitimate. Using a VPN to do things in school that you shouldn't be doing is not, and you will get caught. All right, I'm not going into any more details. Right, passwords. Really important part of cybersecurity is passwords. We need to have strong passwords. These are the top 20 worst passwords in the world. Okay, if you've got one of these as your password, you need to change it. Okay. Recommendations from National Cybersecurity Centre is 3 random words, or I prefer 4 random words. Okay. We all know the alphanumeric capitalization passwords that we're all used to. If you're a mathematician, you'll be really good to understand that how computers work. It's less encrypted, or it's easier to break than what 4 random words are, just by the way the computer works. Okay. If any of you are really interested in it, you can start to Google it. Some fantastic videos on YouTube about password structures, which will completely blow your mind, because it blew mine, and I'm quite good at this type of stuff. So have a look at that, but 4 random words is what's recommended. So correct horse battery staple, okay, as a prime example. Now, here's a website you can try your password to see how strong it is, but I will say I don't know who runs this website. Put a password in it's similar to your password, but not what you use. Okay, same structure, so numbers and letters, exactly the same but different, just to see how strong your password is. Okay, that'll tell you some results. Now, I've done it, and I got some answers. So I put the password daughter, said it would break it instantly. I did the password Fred1234, says it would take a minute to crack it. Password house star1, 7 minutes. And I did June 1983, which is a structure I used to use before joining cybercrime. 2 hours to crack. Now, 2 hours isn't very long to a hacker. So I wanted something stronger. Car blue road, one day. Now, I drive a blue car on a road. Means something to me, nothing to anybody else. One day. Grass, £1, 1 star, 4 weeks. Capital G at the beginning. I will never remember that because the symbols in it. Something about symbols and numbers, I can never remember the passwords. Okay, so that would be no use to me. Grass, sheep, wool, 51 years. Now, 51 years is better. Now, grass, sheep, wool means something to me because I used to be a farmer before I joined the police service, and I had sheep. Okay, black-faced sheep. Grass, sheep, wool. It means something to me, but nothing to anybody else. Okay, you won't find anything on my social media about me being a farmer or I had sheep, but I did. Okay, so it meant something to me, nothing to anybody else. So I wanted stronger. So shop house, black wall. Outside my house is a shop with a black wall. Means something to me, nothing to anybody else. 23 million years. Of course, I work in cyber, computer game, good play, 607 million years. That's a really strong password. If they want my accounts after 607 million years, they can have them because I'm just going to be dust. Okay, password structures are really important. Okay, strong passwords. Now, some sites insist on numbers and letters. So use a strong password, 4 random words, and put a number at the end of it and put a capital at the start of it. That gets round your capitalization request, but use the 4 random words. And it's easier to remember. Digital footprints. Okay, so digital footprints. Everywhere we go, we leave a digital footprint. Very much like in real life. We leave skin cells where we go, we leave hair cells, we leave hair, our body sheds where we go. So as part of the forensic strategy in the police service, we go in with CSIs and we swab surfaces for DNA fragments. Okay? The internet's the exact same. You're leaving little traces of yourself all over the internet and whatever you're looking at. So if you start to go on illegal sites, or you start to go on to sites where you probably shouldn't be, you are leaving a little trace of yourself there. And you don't even know about it, all right? Be aware, because law enforcement can use digital footprints, but so can criminals, all right? Just be aware of what you're doing online. Have I been pwned? Fantastic website. Now, this is for the adults out there. Definitely, all the adults on here today are the parents. Please put your email addresses on this website and have a look and see where your data has been breached. What this website will do is it will basically scrape the internet for any data breaches relating to that email address that you put in. Now, we've put steve@cybercop.police.uk is not a real email address. It's a fake one, but you would type your email in there. And as you can see, it says on here, been pawned on 5 breach sites. And the first one that's come up there is LinkedIn. Okay, so they lost email addresses and passwords. Now, if that's the same password you use for all your separate different websites, they've got access to all your accounts. So have a look on there. If you've had a breach and it's a password you use now, change all your passwords to something new. If it's an account that you don't use, it's been breached, shut it down and don't close it down, delete it. But be aware, okay? For all the students on the call, put your email addresses in there, see if you've had any breaches. Now, there's some gaming sites on Facebook and social media that have had a breach recently, and some of their details are on there. It's worth a look, okay? I get a 50-50 hit off this when I come into schools. I've had some schools I've gone into where they've all been on here. They've all had a breach of some type or other. And I've gone into some schools where none of the students have got breaches and it comes up green saying you've not been breached. Right, so well worth a look at. It will tell you the name of the company where your data has been leaked from, and you just need to change your passwords. As the next slide says, keep calm, change your password. Okay, so the internet, we use it on a daily basis. Do we really know who we're talking to on the internet? Right, you know who we are because I've got the police logo behind me. I'm a police officer, and that can be verified, as is Emma. Has got the Armour Group logo behind her, and Emma can be verified. And Jen, you should know Jen because she's sat in school at the minute doing this. Okay, but do you really know who anybody else is you're talking to? All that is potentially is a face or a voice or some text to the end of a keyboard. Okay, we have instances in this country of young people being groomed online in gaming forums and trained up to become hackers or cyber criminals. Okay, to attack our own. Now, we have discovered that these young people have been paid to do things. Okay, and they've been caught eventually because we catch up with them, but they've been paid in technology, they've been paid in fast food vouchers, and things like that. And it's when we tracked it back, it's come from a different country, and we suspect it's been state-sponsored, which means the other governments are trying to recruit young people in our country to just attack our own infrastructure. Okay, it's a form of grooming. Okay, other young people can start grooming in that way, then it leads on into criminal exploitation, drug running. And then obviously we go into the sexual exploitation side of it as well. You don't know who you're talking to online. Okay, we have to be careful. We do not know who our online friends are. There's a really horrible story about a young lad who got killed. He was groomed for 18 months online. Okay. You have to be aware. You don't know who your online friends are. Where you can go to get some help. If you want more advice or you want to report somebody you think you're worried about with online grooming, here's a couple of websites you can go to, or you can email me at the Regional Cybercrime Unit at the bottom email address. There's Crime Stoppers and there's fearless.org or Get Safe Online. It's great for advice. These are great resources if you want to talk about what you think's happening. But please, please, if you know of a friend who you think's got into something online that they shouldn't have done, please, please tell us, because it might stop them becoming a victim of something horrible. Okay, so let's get into more interesting stuff now. So careers in cybersecurity. Now Emma's going to talk a little bit about this, but I'm just going to talk about it a little bit here. The average age of somebody arrested for a cybercrime is just 17. The average age of somebody arrested for a non-cybercrime is 32. What does that tell us? That tells me that people as young as 8 are getting involved in cybercrime. Yes, I say as young as 8 because the youngest person in the country I'm aware of who has been involved in a cyber offence is 8 years of age. Okay. Willingly or unwittingly they got involved in it. It was to do with grooming, but I'll not go into details, but they were 8. So it's young people at your age that are getting involved in this. Okay, you just need to be aware. If you're interested in tech, now is a really exciting time because there's 1.8 million shortfall in cybersecurity professionals by 2022. People like Emma. Okay, so Emma, people like Emma, there's a shortage of them. Okay, which means the salaries are fantastic and it's such an exciting job. Last couple of slides for you. Action fraud. If you're a victim of cybercrime, this is where you report it to. Gives you loads of advice. Cyberaware.gov. Great for advice. This is the one I talk about. Take 5 Stop Fraud. You get an email you don't recognise, you think it's funny. Just take 5. Take 5, think about it. Is this real? Would they have sent me that? Okay. Take 5 Stop Fraud. You think you know, fantastic website. I suggest you all go on there at some point and have a look at the resources on there. COP, Exploitation Online. Great stuff, great videos. Get Safe Online. And that is me finished. You've been over the minute here. So I'm now going to finish my presentation. Stop share. I'm going to hand you over to Emma. Now, Emma can explain her job title to you. And we'll go from there. So over to you, Emma.
Thank you, Alistair. Hi everybody. Thank you for that, Alistair. That was really awesome. There's so many good points in there, and I 100% agree with everything you've said. So can everybody see my screen? Just give me a little nod to see the new presentation. Perfect. So Alistair asked me to come across today just to kind of give you a personal face to a hacker. So I work for a company called Digital Armour, which is part of the Armour Group of companies. So we're a group of cybersecurity specialists based between Lincoln and Grimsby. So we live and breathe cybersecurity, and between the group we have a variety of different qualified specialists in a number of areas, anything from preventative measures to try and help businesses, organisations and individuals try and prevent an attack, as well as helping people recover after the fact and doing private investigations. So my role is head of testing and training. So my days are typically spent trying to break into networks as a certified hacker, carrying out staff awareness training in organisations across the country, or helping businesses improve their networks by getting security certifications. So I'm hoping that I can just very quickly, I don't have long, just 10 minutes or so, just maybe give you a little glimpse behind the scenes and perhaps give you, like I say, the face of a qualified hacker. So who are the hackers? Alistair's already said actually they're getting younger and younger, but people who we would consider to be hackers actually come in a variety of shapes and sizes and genders. So you'll be all too well familiar with this image portrayed in the media of a young man in a hoodie or a scary mask sitting in a dark basement somewhere with a million screens. But the truth is, it's not actually the case. Anybody who has perhaps that logical mind, who seems to just get computers and has that passion, could become a hacker. We also find that actually some of the best hackers tend to be women. Just because, in my experience, we tend to find that they're a little bit more thorough. They are more determined to follow through on an attack and follow through that path and that chain. So while it is stereotypically still very much a male industry, we are starting to see more women. And there's a lot of elements to hacking that perhaps you haven't considered. You know, when you've done an ethical hack, you have to write, you know, sometimes a 20-odd page report of your findings so that you are giving advice to that organisation so that they can fill those weaknesses and they can fill those holes. So it's not just sat behind a computer in a hoodie. It's a lot more than that. So criminal hackers tend to be well-found of resources at the fingertips, often working as part of a loose network of criminals. They are winning the battle at the moment, to be completely honest. There is still a massive culture in our society with an attitude that says it won't happen to me. And unfortunately, this means that the good guys, like Alistair and myself, are often under-resourced, underfunded, understaffed, because people just don't budget nearly enough to make sure that these protective measures are in place. And they actually end up paying a lot more if they wait till afterwards, which is the funny thing. But often we just think, well, it's not going to happen to us, we'll deal with it later. But it's not really always about money or identity. Even an average person's identity can have value, even without any financial information. So we can use that to create fake profiles or accounts on anything. We would be using your name and your date of birth to create fake accounts and do other crimes in your name. Okay, so it's really important that this isn't just for adults with money to protect, this is for everybody. So you also have, and this comes under with the reducing of age of attackers, what we would perhaps call script kiddies. they're not always kids, but it is often the term we would use for novices. So there are software and tools available that do a lot of the hard work when it comes to launching an attack and doing a scan of a network. So they are able to use automated tools, and they will, without really knowing what they're doing, launch a kind of an attempt to get into somebody else's network. So they might not be doing this to get at your money. They could be doing this just to prove that they can, to establish their reputation, to flatter their own ego. And I have seen lots, through my years in industry and in previous careers, I've seen lots of children really interested in doing this, but you've got to make sure you go about it the right way and that you're learning in the right way, because you can do an awful lot of damage if you are in a network and you do not know what you're doing. So you really need to think before you use these tools. Just because they're easy to get your hands on doesn't mean you should. And you need to remember that actually just by trying to get into someone else's network, if you do not have their explicit permission, you are breaking the law. It is as simple as that. It doesn't matter what your motive was. You might not necessarily have been trying to do anything malicious, but just by entering someone else's network, it is their property. You are against the law. So I just want to run through what we call the kill chain. So this is the stages of an attack that we might go about if we have been paid to try and test out someone's network. I have to put myself in the mind of a criminal attacker. You have to go to a different mind space, and you have to be as determined as a criminal would be to break into that system. So the first step in what we call the kill chain is reconnaissance. So this is our planning phase, where we would observe the target, their network, for any information or vulnerabilities that we could use against them. Once we have identified information that could be helpful, we then create our weapon. So this could be something we've developed ourselves or something readily available on the internet. We package it up and we send it to the target. Now this could be via a phishing email, perhaps like Alistair suggested, or even we've had attempts, if there's no remote way of doing it, we've physically gone into these and we've paid a cleaner £20 and they've put in a USB stick into a computer for us and we are in. So there are lots of ways that we could choose to deliver our weapon. So once this weapon has been successfully delivered, it could be triggered straight away, immediately, but more often than not these days, what we tend to do is it will just create a kind of a backdoor for us as attackers. We can then sit and watch that network. We could be doing little things that you wouldn't even notice. We could be stealing data. We could be planting, changing, modifying anything that's on that network. And often it can be sat there for months. So there's a little statistic there at the bottom that just shows, 200 days is the average time it takes for such a breach to be detected. So that means that for nearly 7 months, there could be someone in your network watching what you're doing and you wouldn't know anything about it. So it's really important that you take on board the advice that Alistair's given you today to try and prevent that from happening. So once we've then got that back door, we've watched, we then might, once we've got everything we can out of you, we might then perhaps upload some ransomware or something like that as like a last push to get more information or to hold you to ransom. That just means you have to pay for us to unencrypt all of your data and let you have access to your files again, which if you haven't got proper backups of your data, people will often pay because they've got no other choice. So there's lots of things you can do to try and prevent these attacks from happening at each stage. But in general, That's the kind of structure of an attack. So reconnaissance is probably the most important step in that whole kill chain. If you've done your research, then you are more likely to be able to get your weapon through to that target. There are a variety of methods that an attacker will use, and typically in less than an hour, we can know more about you than your best friend will. So we can know about your family, where you work, who you live with, places you regularly like to visit, what model of phone or tablet you have, where you go to exercise, your daily routines, your address, your phone numbers, just for example. And a lot of this stuff is actually out there in the public domain, and anybody could find this, but as it's our job, we often have tools that make it super quick for us to go out and find them. We have what are called spiders and they will just go out, they will take a name, they will give it very minimal information, it'll go out there and bring this all back for us, and suddenly, like I say, in less than an hour, we've got a full profile on you that we can use, like Alistair says, to construct an email or create a persona, and we can make you trust us. We can. That's what we're trained to do. So, you know, I might go in with something like, oh, I can see you listen to such and such. I love their music too. Maybe after a bit of a conversation, we say, well, let's go to a gig together. Whereabouts do you live? Are you local to me? Straight away, I've got your address because you've trusted me. We've got common interests. Once we've got that commonality, it's a lot easier to persuade you to give us information. If we know you're a little bit of a gamer, we might, for example, say, oh, you've won a competition to win an Xbox. Just click this link and we've got you. So even if you've only registered for something and you've never used it, you've got nothing. I know I saw something in the chat about someone said, well, I've got a YouTube, but I've never used it. Well, I can take that over. I can become you. I could use that account to persuade someone else. Perhaps you're not my main target. Perhaps you will lead me to somebody else that I want to get to. So it's really important that you are taking care of all of your accounts. So if you've ever registered for an online account that has been breached, then I hate to tell you this, but I will also have your username and passwords from that breach. Now, you might have changed it, but as human beings, we are creatures of habit. And what I tend to say is if perhaps a password that was breached was, I don't know, Leeds 2018 exclamation mark, I can pretty be sure that actually you might have a password that's Leeds 2020 exclamation mark or something like that, and it just helps us narrow down the field. So those websites we often recommend to our customers as well. The Have I Been Pawned in particular, really, really useful. If you have been breached, make sure you are changing those passwords. And what you may not realise is once they've been breached, once that attacker has got everything they can out of that username and password, they are then shared on the dark web for anybody on the dark web to see. So what we can do is, again, we have tools, make it really easy. We can put in a name or an email address and it will search the dark web for us and bring back all the information related to that email address or that person. It takes seconds. So we aren't really going on the dark web as such. We go on there as little as possible, but we use the information on there to try and find these vulnerabilities, because if we can find it, a criminal can. So when we're picking a target as an attacker, so we've been paid to do this, and perhaps we've got an organization of, I don't know, 150 people. We will start with the people that have the most information out there in the public domain. The easier of a target you seem to an attacker, you are going to be top of their list as a priority. We always look for the easiest way into any network, and this typically tends to be through people and their own devices. By targeting people in their homes, people and their children, we can often then get into organisations' networks. Who we choose depends on our main goals. So if we are perhaps just doing a generic one, we will start with the people that show the greatest lack of knowledge, those people that don't take care of their passwords, who's maybe been breached before. They're always a safe bet. Okay, so when we're launching an attack, we look for those kinds of signs. So one of the big ways, and Alistair's kind of hinted at this a little bit, and I've talked a little bit about how we profile you and how we use information, but social engineering is probably the most effective way of launching an attack. So we use information to try and get you to divulge sensitive or even financial data to us, and this is called social engineering. So probably one of the biggest concerns to date, as there are so many low moral people who are very good at manipulating others in order to get what they want. So as a species, as humans, we are naturally born to trust other human beings, but these engineers will be your best buddy. They will promise you the world until they get what they want. So remember, if something feels even slightly wrong, trust your instincts. Always think to yourself, would I trust a stranger with this information? Because unless they are part of your family or someone you spent a great deal of time with, then that is essentially what they are. They are a stranger. It's also important to remember that if you do fall for one of these guys and you do give out some details, don't be embarrassed. I have seen some of the cleverest people in the country fall for some of these scams because the engineers, these social engineers, are that good. You know, they've studied psychology, they understand human behaviour. So if you have at all felt uncomfortable or sad in any way, you really must talk to somebody about it, because everybody at some point will be a victim. Even if you don't fall for it and go all the way, this will happen to people at some point in their lives. So that's the kind of psychology and maybe the more human element. But I also wanted to show you some of the equipment that we get to use as hackers. Now, a lot of this is readily available. So there's a fantastic website called Hack5. They do a lot of YouTube videos for anybody that is perhaps a little bit more interested in learning more about it. So these are all devices you can buy directly, and they can be used to help infiltrate someone's network or steal their data. So Alistair hinted about Wi-Fi, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about a device we call the Pineapple. So it's a magic device that will pretend to be a trusted network that you have saved in your phone. If you've left your Wi-Fi turned on, as many of us do, we just leave our Wi-Fi turned on our phone all day, every day, then what will happen is it will force your device to automatically join, and then we've got you. But there's lots of devices on there that you can have a little look at. So the risks come in all shapes and sizes, anything from social media, your Internet of Things, your Alexa. I'm hoping it's becoming clear that there are risks everywhere. There are lots of ways we can find holes in networks, trick devices and people, and force our way in to steal other people's data. Whether it is through your Alexa device that hasn't perhaps been updated properly, or a phishing email that you could have sworn was from your best friend, there are lots of ways we can manipulate technology and people in order to find a way in. So that's why you constantly need to be on your guard and think critically about everything you see. So my last point here really is we need your help, guys. We need you to help make people realise that this is more than just an IT issue. We need to change culture and society to show that this isn't just for the IT geeks. Everybody needs to play their part in spreading awareness. And if you see your family or friends doing something that you think is unsafe, speak up and educate them, because otherwise the bad guys are going to keep winning. Unless we prioritise our online safety and protect ourselves and the people we care about, then they are going to fall victim. So there's a lot more information on our website. There's lots of great blogs that you can have a little look at. I'll just put that back on again for you. So if anyone wants to take a note of our website. As Alistair said, there are lots of major staff shortages in the cybersecurity industry, and it's very much a diverse area. It's not all just about sat behind that computer. So if you are interested in becoming a hacker, make sure you are completely aware of the laws. Look at that Computer Misuse Act if you're not sure. And there are sites that can help you learn online. There are some sites that you can Google where they actually say, yeah, go on, have a go at attacking us. Make sure you're getting permission. We do, you know, before we launch any kind of attack, we always make sure we've got written permission. So more than anything though, you need to pay your dues. You need to understand the fundamentals of computing, because the more solid your foundation knowledge of computers, the less likely you are to make a mistake and accidentally take down a network when you didn't mean to. And yes, I have seen that happen. So be really careful with what you're doing. But it's a fantastic and exciting career to get into. Okay, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Alistair, you're still on mute. Do you want to unmute yourself? I'm unmuted. So the chat along the side, absolutely amazing. There's loads of questions Laura and I have been answering as you go along. Mita, absolutely agree. I don't trust a lot of my family either. I really would not trust them with my passwords, especially my son who's got a PS4. He'd be all over my PayPal like anything. So yeah, you're doing the right thing there. Alistair, there's a question further back. So there was a question further back, so not the Pune one, but what was the other one, the other website that you mentioned?
howsecureismypassword.net.
howsecureismypassword.net. What I would say to everybody on here is that we will send the link out to this presentation so that you do get this again. Can I just see a show of hands as well? I know a lot of you are muted, but along the bottom, you'll see that there's a reactions box. So if you fancy working in cybercrime, which is digital engineering in the future, can you just give me a thumbs up?
Oh, brilliant.
So yeah, I've got some thumbs and I've got some reactions. So quite a lot of you, yeah. So through the next years that you're with us, we're going to work on digital engineering a lot. Alistair and Emma are now friends of the schools. That's it. Once you're our friends, once UTC, you're always UTC. You're not getting away. So as you go through the school, we'll pull Alistair and Emma's details in a lot more and work out where those jobs are. There's a lot of them. And when there's a lot of jobs and not many people going for them, the wages rocket. Isn't that true, Emma?
Yes.
Emma's on a lot of money. She's not showing it right now. She's sat there in a mansion.
I mean, yeah, the beauty of the tech industry is they're often more modern. So I don't want to rub it in too many people's faces, but for example, I have what's called flexible working, so I can leave when I want as long as my work's done. I have unlimited holiday, so again, as long as my customers are happy, I can take as much leave as I want. I get a company car. You know, there are perks to a job in cybersecurity. So definitely a way forward.
Company cars, don't we, guys? Give us a nod if you want a company car. Yes. Look at Laura. Laura absolutely wants one. Laura, can you just give us a wave? Because I know you've spoken to a lot of these students and parents as well. So this is Laura who emails you all the time as well. So you'll see us more and more. So another good question. How do you hack a bank account?
You don't, or you'll end up in jail.
Yeah.
Right there, guys. Don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Something I didn't cover in my presentation actually was Computer Misuse Act. Do you realise that using somebody else's computer without their permission is technically a criminal offence? So the example I normally give at my talks is your mate leaves a phone on the table, it goes to the toilet, you pick up the phone, you start looking at your mate's photos without your mate saying you can. You've actually committed Section 1 crime on the Computer Misuse Act, unauthorised access. It's a year in prison potentially. If you looked on your mate's phone for photos and you sent a photo to yourself to do something to that photo, commit a further offence, that's a Section 2 Computer Misuse Act offence. That's up to 3 years in prison. If you DDoS a site, if you do a DDoS attack on a gaming site, on your mate, so you're playing Call of Duty COD, and somebody's beating you, you've got their IP address, so you launch a DDoS attack on them. It's a Section 3 offence, 7 years in prison potentially. There's lots of offences on computers out there. It's really worth your while knowing your Computer Misuse Act offences. I tried to keep the presentation short today, and when I start talking about Computer Misuse Act, I can ramble on for ages because it's really important bit of legislation that I don't think people are taught, and it's something we need to know about. So I might send Jenny something through about that to help Jenny, and she can maybe distribute that amongst us. And if any parents want a parents' cybercrime handbook, I'm happy to get that emailed out as well.
Fabulous, thank you. What I would say is that we will do some cybercrime stuff within your PSHE next year. So look out for that, and we might pull Alistair and Emma in. Friends of the school, we've got them forever. So what I'm going to do is before I start recording, and when I start recording, I've got a competition for you. Okay, now it's an amazing prize, but I've got to stop recording because if this goes on the website and I send out all the competition stuff, it could go viral and everybody apply, and I only want you lot to win. I don't want anybody else to win, obviously. So before I start recording, at the bottom on your reactions, you've got a clapping. Can everybody give Emma and Alistair a round of applause, please?
Oh, thank you.
There you go. Thank you. It's all virtual.
I like it.
And please know that you won't go to prison for very, very much at all whatsoever, right? So please don't be scared. Ask us the questions all the time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop recording.